He also loves to play the guitar. He loves Hindustani music as well as rock and metal music. He also loves gaming and content consumption. We all could see how much he loves a lot of different things. He's a walking, talking Wikipedia. So if you want any information, he's the first person you should Google. One thing about Toastmaster 𝐒𝐡𝐫𝐢𝐤𝐚𝐫 is that he has a winner mindset. And if I had to imagine his take on the game, it would be the little things matter in winning. Let's put our hands together for Toastmaster 𝐒𝐡𝐫𝐢𝐤𝐚𝐫. Toastmaster 𝐒𝐡𝐫𝐢𝐤𝐚𝐫, building a giant. Building a giant. Toastmaster 𝐒𝐡𝐫𝐢𝐤𝐚𝐫.
You're fired. Imagine hearing these two words. Now imagine hearing these two words 6 times in 12 years. This is the scenario of Manchester United. Now for those of you who wrote the essay of football story, this, I promise you, is not. This is a story about organization and making the wrong changes. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
Around 6 managers came in place of the greatest manager in life, Sir Alex Ferguson. Every 2 years, the new manager changed up. At first, it used to be the media post. Manchester United is back. 2 years later, breaking news coming in. Manchester United has sacked yet another manager. And at some point I started wondering, am I following a football club or a LinkedIn profile? Because the managers kept changing. At some point, you guys must be wondering, of course, if you pick the wrong manager, then it won't work out. You have to change the manager until the right one comes in place. Right? That's where you are wrong. The reason being, all of these guys who came in place were proven winners who dominated in the world football stage. Yet, they were not able to succeed. They had proven accolades that were at the highest level. Even then, they could not succeed. Now, what was going wrong? What was the problem that was causing this giant to tumble down? It was causing this giant to fall. Looking back, imagine this. Imagine you are a school principal who teaches maths. Okay, it works. Imagine you are a school principal who teaches maths as well as physical education. Okay. Sounds kind of weird, but okay. Imagine you also fix the Wi-Fi connections in school. What? Why would the principal fix the Wi-Fi connection? Imagine the principal also handles the admissions and the administration process. Doesn't work, right? Statistically impossible. Or it might be possible, statistically improbable. Now, if you want to be the best school in the world, that is definitely impossible with you doing everything. This was what Manchester United was doing for a very long time. But 12 years later, things changed. Finally, they admitted the problem. This was the first lesson. Next, they implemented a system where there is no hero who is going to save the club. They implemented a process where there are specific specializations who come in and help the club. For example, there is a sporting director, there is a technical director, there are world-class doctors, physiotherapists, there are data analysts who all came together in consolidation to build a system that will help them propel forward. The third is understanding that there will be some backlash. Understanding that change sometimes might be quiet. That is the phase that we are currently undergoing. I would say that at the moment, Manchester United are not at the level where they're supposed to be, winning titles. However, we are shifting from that slow phase to consistently performing, to having a better structure, to having a better process, to winning. This was something that took a very long time for Manchester United to understand. However, this story is not just about Manchester United. This story is about all of us and our day-to-day lives. I have seen and I have experienced personally what it requires for change. Let's take, for example, a hobby that everyone wants to try. For example, let's take running as a hobby because I personally am interested in running. Now, at the beginning, I thought, oh, 5 kilometers are so much running, who is going to do it? And before I knew it, I was running 3 kilometers, but I came home and said, I'm not getting out at 6 a.m. and I'm not doing this again. And the next week, I decided, might as well go try a run club. I went there. I met this entire new system where people were very casually saying, Acha, what you're doing 10K only? Hey, what? Come do 20K tomorrow, easy session. And it became so simple to talk about them with, oh, they're talking about heart rate zones, they're talking about how you can optimize your running schedule, how you can train to run better. And before I knew it, the system around me had changed. It was no longer normal for me to be like, 5K is okay, but 10K might be better. Soon I finished the 10K and I thought to myself, that small devil in my mind said, maybe a 21K, and soon it might be the case. My point being, change requires understanding in the beginning. That is the first process of change. The next is building a system around it, which I personally believe is the best way to go about it. The third is understanding this change takes some time. There are some quiet processes that you will need to go through. There are some ups and downs that you will need to face. Finally, the failures that you face. They might not work out, but you still learn and you still grow. This is how you rebuild a giant or just build it if you are building it for the first time. With that, I'd like to hand it back to the MC, Toastmaster.